Blake Lively just experienced the worst day of her professional life. I'm not even making this up. We are discussing a time when everything she attempted to do collapsed in such a dramatically public way that it is nearly impossible to witness. But fasten your seatbelts, this is an incredible tale. This is the problem with Blake. She believed she was going to get paid when she entered this action. Hundreds of millions of dollars are at stake. Blake was certain that It Ends With Us director Justin Baldoni had poisoned the set and essentially attempted to ruin the film. She brought this case with the hope of emerging from it as a victim who had at last received justice. Rather, she turned into a warning about the consequences of trying to manipulate the system. Judge Lyman today rendered a 47-page decision that essentially undermined all of Blake's efforts. And I mean totally ruined it. Blake had requested triple damages, or tens of millions of dollars. Punitive damages were what she desired. She demanded payment for everything. After considering her motion, the judge declared, definitely not. He turned it down. In essence, he informed Blake that she was attempting to evade the law. In actuality, he said that in a final run. That's sports jargon meaning trying to circumvent the rules rather than abide by them. This is where things get really interesting, though, since Blake attempted to use Section 47 of the California Civil Code. 1. This law was enacted in 2023. It was created especially to shield those who come forward with severe claims of abuse from being sued for defamation. This law is meant to safeguard victims, particularly those who have been sexually abused. That's its purpose. Blake attempted to turn it into a weapon. She actually attempted to use a statute intended to shield individuals from reprisals as a means of making quick money. The judge saw right through it. Blake's overall approach to this is utterly cruel. Her primary case had already been lost. All of her assertions had already been retracted. In essence, she was grabbing at straws in an attempt to find another method to get money out of the situation. The judge confronted her about it. Blake, he claimed, was attempting to get around the entire federal procedural system. The law does not create an end run around the set of carefully crafted federal procedural rules, he stated precisely. Damages are not covered by this limited exception for a particular type of relief. This is where it gets really depressing, so let's discuss what Blake really spent money on. For this litigation, Blake paid over $35 million. I'm referring to the entire package, including experts, lawyers, depositions, and travel. About 25 solicitors were working on her case. 25, that is crazy. She spent $35 million, as if it were nothing. What did she receive in return? In reality, what did Blake take with him? The judge ruled that she was entitled to reimbursement for her legal costs. That seems like a victory, doesn't it? However, the actual amount is in the range of $100,000 to $200,000. Do you know what that means? Blake recovered less than $200,000 after spending $35 million. On a $35 million cost, she may have saved $150,000. Blake, you shouldn't have had to pay to defend yourself against Justin's unsuccessful defamation action, the judge is effectively stating. He will therefore pay for those defense expenses, but she will be responsible for all the money Blake spent attempting to obtain hundreds of millions in damages. Everything. It's similar to paying $100 for lunch, getting turned down by the restaurant, and then being told you'll receive a $10 coupon. Blake Lively achieved that degree of success here. Additionally, insiders told the Daily Mail that the total cost of this entire debacle was approximately $60 million for both parties. What would you spend $60 million on? Blake should leave with nothing. What truly intrigues me is what Blake was attempting to achieve when she filed this. She filed this action with the goals of regaining her reputation, advancing her career, and receiving $300 million in compensation. She wished to maintain the confidentiality of her communications. She desired to be in charge of the story. She sought to hold Jessim Baldoni accountable through punitive damages in public court. She had a full strategy, didn't she? She was going to be the one who ultimately prevailed. However, what really took place? The complete opposite. Blake's public image deteriorated rather than improved. Her career path came to a total standstill. Despite paying more than $30 million in legal fees, she received no damages. Her credibility was totally damaged when all of her private correspondence was revealed. In this case, she had 13 causes of action. 10 of them, including all of her allegations of sexual harassment, were rejected. Every one of them. She paid nothing to settle the outstanding claims. Blake Lively left with a mound of debt, a ruined reputation, and a judge who effectively called her a liar, who attempted to take advantage of the legal system in order to make money. We are there. Meanwhile, Justin Baldon was able to get exactly what he wanted from the whole thing. As with all he set out to do, he succeeded. He revealed Blake's attempts to turn the legal system into a weapon. He demonstrated that his account of what happened was true. His reputation had really increased by the time he left. The way he handled it is respected in the profession. He remained silent, let the facts do the talking, and emerged as the hero. Blake, too, is now considered a joke. She is referred to as a false accuser. She is perceived as someone who attempted to play the victim while, in reality, she was the one causing issues on the set. That is now her legacy. $35 million bought her that. However, the story doesn't stop there. Ryan Reynolds, Blake's spouse, is facing a legal nightmare of his own. Due to an early morning Tesla crash in Manhattan, Ryan is being sued for $5 million. He is now responsible for that. It's also not a single lawsuit. He is being sued by 2 different ladies. $5 million apiece. That represents an additional $10 million in possible liability. Right now, Ryan Reynolds and Blake are essentially in the same situation. And since Blake and Ryan Reynolds are this power couple, that's what makes the whole thing so fascinating. They are referred to as marketing gurus. Their charisma and likability served as the foundation for whole economic empires. They are referred to as billionaires. The media portrays them as untouchable, yet the truth is completely different from popular belief. The legal expenditures are mounting. Furthermore, we are not discussing company expenses that they are able to deduct. We are discussing personal funds that they will need to pay from their own accounts. This cannot be concealed behind a business structure by Ryan and Blake. Their personal fortune is the source of this. The couple is likely experiencing financial strain for the first time in their lives due to Blake's $35 million legal expense from the case and Ryan's probable damages of millions more. But here's what's crazy. Despite their apparent wealth and success, Ryan and Blake are unable to do simple tasks. For example, there are rumors that they haven't even paid the contractors who renovated their house. Apparently, they can't be bothered to pay the people who are building their homes, even if they are spending millions on solicitors to fight litigation. We are now at that level. And then there's the job situation, which is, to be honest, very disastrous. Since the beginning of this case, Ryan Reynolds has seldom secured any fresh engagements. Like hardly at all. At the moment, Ryan is essentially working on just one project, and he isn't even in charge of it. His role is diminished. That is the current state of his career. Hugh Jackman was meant to star in a film titled Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. Although it was first announced in 2025, it continues to be postponed. People are beginning to question whether it will truly take place, or if it will just be one of those initiatives that vanish into thin air. His film, Mayday, has already been recorded and is currently awaiting release. That's not brand new work. He completed that a long time ago. Additionally, Ryan has about 11 forthcoming projects listed on IMDb. I think that sounds impressive. However, if you examine each one separately, you'll find that some of them have been in development since 2019, that is, 6 or 7 years ago. Ryan enjoys releasing press releases claiming to be involved with certain projects or films. He receives notoriety and headlines, but nothing comes of it. Silently, the project vanishes. Ryan Reynolds is practically only working on one serious project at the moment, which is crazy considering he's supposed to be this A-list celebrity. First, it's obvious that the industry is avoiding him. It's not a coincidence. Blake's marketability has been severely harmed by the incident, and as a result, his earnings have decreased. In terms of his career, Blake's circumstances are substantially worse. Nothing new has been announced about her. We Used to Live Here, it was supposed to be her only upcoming movie, yet it has entirely vanished from her IMDb site. Years ago, it was announced, but it never materialized. Right now, it might as well not exist. Thus, they are both dealing with a perfect storm of financial strain. Their legal bills are enormous. Their careers are stagnating. They have been betrayed by the industry. The fact that none of this will change anytime soon is the hardest part. There will still be repercussions in the future. There are likely to be additional lawsuits, depositions, and public humiliation. Justin Baldoni, meanwhile, is acting in the other way. He has a job. In the industry, he is receiving support. People respect his handling of the situation because they recall that he was the one who was dragged through the dirt by bogus charges. He said nothing. He didn't go on press tours in an attempt to mislead people. He let the facts do the talking. And he emerged with an improved reputation. In this instance, Blake's credibility was completely damaged by the unsealed correspondence. Every text message, email, and piece of proof that surfaced only served to exacerbate her situation. And you can't get over that. Paying your way out of that is not an option. That cannot be fixed by your PR team. People's perception of you is permanent once they witness what you truly said and did. Here's something about Blake that truly bothers me. She had every chance to approach things in a different way. None of this would occur if she simply marketed the film without attempting to take over it, control everything, or destroy anyone who stood in her way. Everything would have been different if Blake had simply acted like a responsible adult rather than attempting to use accusations of sexual assault as leverage in a business disagreement. However, she didn't. She gave it her all. $35 million was spent by her. She employed 25 solicitors. She forced Justin Baldoni to endure a 2-year legal battle. She opened all of these confidential correspondences. She humiliated herself and her family in public. And for what purpose? For nothing at all. She received no damages at all. The judge's decision was essentially the last blow to everything Blake attempted to build. After considering her request for triple damages, he declined. "You're abusing the system," he replied, pointing out that she was attempting to get around federal procedural constraints by weaponizing a law intended to protect victims of sexual abuse. As if that weren't enough, he added that she wouldn't even be able to get back the millions she spent on her own legal defense. She only receives reimbursement for the costs of her defense against Justin's unsuccessful defamation lawsuit. Blake had to spend $35 million in order to recover about $200,000. To ruin her reputation, she spent $35 million. To demonstrate that Justin Baldoni was correct about her, she spent $35 million. Additionally, she paid $35 million to watch as Justin's career progressed while hers utterly stagnated. There must be a tremendous amount of strain inside that house right now. We are discussing a couple that is most likely experiencing significant stress. Ryan's career is stagnating. Blake's career has reached a standstill. Both of them are under tremendous financial strain. Since the evidence is available, they are powerless to change the public's perception of them as the villains. The judge's decision has been made public. There is the truth. Blake genuinely attempted to portray the entire situation as a triumph, and it was undoubtedly one of the most embarrassing incidents in PR history. In order to convince TMZ to publish a headline stating that Blake had won something, her team spent money. They referred to it as a triumph. And to rectify the false information, Instagram of all places had to step in and add a community notice to the article. Blake's own PR narrative was physically fact-checked by Instagram. That was the extent of the spin's desperation and delusion. Blake and Justin Baldoni were shown in the story's accompanying photo, and Blake appeared to be caught trying to exert authority over something she had no right to. It's the complete opposite of what she was attempting to convey. Additionally, every time Blake and her PR staff attempt to turn anything around, a platform appears and adds a community note denouncing it as deceptive. Because there is proof, the truth, and no one is purchasing what they are selling, it keeps happening repeatedly. The stark difference between Blake's goals and her actual results is what's truly fascinating. She had a clear vision of repairing her reputation when she filed this lawsuit. Her career had stalled, but she was going to turn it around. She would receive $300 million. She believed she would go to court, provide a version of events, and hold Justin Baldoni responsible with hefty punitive damages. That was the strategy. Rather, Blake Lively's public image has deteriorated since the case. More than ever, her career has stagnated. She received no damages. She will likely never be able to recoup the more than $30 million in legal fees she is paying. Her credibility has been totally undermined by the open nature of her private correspondence. 10 of her 13 causes of action, including all of her allegations of sexual harassment, were rejected. The only attorney's fees she received were perhaps $100,000 to $200,000, which doesn't even cover a small portion of what she spent. She settled her remaining claims for $0. Blake Lively is now seen as a joke. It was she who attempted to use accusations of sexual assault as a weapon in order to prevail in a business conflict. The false accuser is her. She is the fictitious victim. Her legacy is that everyone now believes that about her. And that cannot be reversed. That cannot be removed. Future public relations efforts won't change what everyone already knows about Blake's true nature. What the judge discovered in his decision is the most agonizing element. In fact, he discovered no proof of malice. Legally speaking, this means there is no proof that Blake intentionally made false statements in order to harm Justin Baldoni. Technically, the judge was stating that Blake genuinely thought what she was saying was true. She wasn't lying on purpose. She believed she had been wronged. And Blake might have benefited if this had been the only discovery. It could have strengthened her argument. Here's the issue, though. That discovery was made after all other aspects of her case had fallen apart. It happened after she demonstrated that she was prepared to use the legal system as a weapon. It happened when leaked correspondence revealed her particular methods of operation. It happened after 10 of her 13 claims were rejected. It arrived after she had lost everything. Therefore, the judge's statement that she wasn't malevolent actually meant that Blake honestly thought she had the right to act in this way. She had a sincere belief that she could control the system. She honestly believed she could get away with it. She was also mistaken. Every single objective Justin Baldoni set out to achieve was accomplished. Everybody. Blake was revealed by him. He revealed Ryan. He demonstrated the veracity of his account of what happened. Blake demanded hundreds of millions of dollars in damages, but he refused to pay any of them. His reputation was enhanced. He remained silent, allowed the evidence to speak for itself, and emerged as the hero. Blake, meantime, paid $35 million to demonstrate that Justin had always been correct about her. That has a very sinister poetic quality. The only people who truly prevailed in this case were the solicitors. In this whole arrangement, they are the true winners. Blake's lawyers have been compensated throughout, and they will continue to be compensated regardless of the outcome. Blake is paying those legal costs out of her own pocket, as she sits there with nothing. Millions were earned by the lawyers. This lawsuit's only success story is that everyone else was defeated. For the first time in their lives, Blake and Ryan Reynolds are now dealing with real financial strain. The well is becoming dry. The money isn't coming in as it once did. There is no offer for the projects. The industry has decided what to do. And Justin Baldoni was their choice. Blake was not their choice. Ryan was not selected by them. There must be a tremendous amount of pressure within that house. 2 years of conflict. Tens of millions of dollars. Lawyers, depositions, public humiliation, and unsealed conversations that reveal Blake's true nature. She ultimately received no money at all. Nothing. To disprove her, she spent more money than most individuals will make in a lifetime. Blake may make some people feel sorry for him. This may seem too harsh to others. Here's the problem, though. Blake Lively has every chance to approach this in a different way. Instead of attempting to take over the film, she could have marketed it. She had the option to let Justin Baldoni helm his own movie. She had the option of acting like a responsible adult. Rather, she used accusations of sexual abuse as a weapon to resolve a business conflict. She pursued an innocent man through legal proceedings. In an attempt to hide the reality, she spent tens of millions of dollars. She had no one to blame but herself when everything fell apart. Blake and Ryan are now dealing with the fallout. Both of them. What happens next is the question that everyone is asking at the moment. Will they go on and accept what transpired? Will they make an effort to repair their reputations and careers? Or will they come up with another strategy to exacerbate the situation? Because, to be honest, Blake has now demonstrated that she is capable of making extremely poor decisions, bad mistakes that are extremely costly. We'll see what she does next.